I just discovered a couple of interesting colors. One is from Sennelier. It's called Sepia, which I think of as kind of a brown, but this is has a greenish hue. So here's how I go about figuring out a new color. I mean, look at that. That's kind of eh. I won't even say what it looks like, okay? It's kind of gross. Mix it with a little golden glazing liquid. Still not gorgeous, right? So, I discovered I'm using this white, this is Blick Matte Acrylic. It's a really nice opaque white. Look at that. It's kind of an interesting neutral. But it turns out to make a really lovely kind of taupe or something. So this is what I do when I have a new color, is I mix it with varying degrees of white. That gives me a lot of information. Another thing is to mix it with a little black, but in this case, since it's a pretty dark color, I'm going to mix it with gray. And so to make a gray, I'm going to first mix the black with a little white, and then mix in the sepia. And this is a really subtle contrast with this sepia that just has white in it, no black. And then a little more white, see what happens. There, and that's a nice kind of toned gray, kind of a chromatic gray. Okay, so I can keep going with this black and white here. Or I can try some other colors. Like, I haven't done this before. I'm going to try this Indian Yellow Hue from Golden. I'm just thinking this greenish might look interesting with a yellow. Bring out more of the green in it. And you'll see I didn't rinse my brush. I have a little gray here. I've got a little white. Whatever. Ah, look at that. Oh. How about even more yellow? Yeah, it can get to be a pretty interesting sort of, I don't know what you'd call it. Kind of a yellow, green, gray, brown, something. So I would just keep going with this and maybe consider some other colors that might look interesting with it. Here's a nickel azo yellow. So this is different from the nickel azo, quinacridone nickel azo gold. This is a much more sort of cool yellow. So let's see, mix the sepia with a little of that. The next mixture I'm going to do involves this nickel azo yellow. Yeah, a little brighter, a little more acidic. See that with the white? Isn't that a great color? Okay. Oops. Put that on our piece here. I say piece, this is sort of this is what I call a paint quilt. It's, I'm just putting together, not random bits of color, but sort of found color. And certainly not planning it ahead. I'm just getting, it's like my sampler. And that sticks out really a lot, just in terms of the color intensity. So what happens if I tone that down a little with white? I mean, really, the main point is that it gives me a really good handle on what this color is and what it can do. And then I always would just take what's left on my palette and paint it out. This is the more authentic paint quilt using the leftovers. But it gives me collage paper, but also if I just want to see, like, audition a color in a piece, I have a swatch of it. But I do use these for collage papers. So here's another color I've had for a while, but I haven't really used much. I was kind of curious about it today. It's called Ter-Bear Hue, actually. It's a color from Golden. It comes in the heavy body. I'm not sure that it comes in fluids. Anyways. So same thing to begin with. I'm going to put a fair amount of white on my palette. And first I'll mix it with a little glazing medium. And I did, try this a while back, and it just struck me as kind of a nondescript, uninteresting color. So here I'm going to mix it with white. Now this doesn't seem to be a particularly highly pigmented color, right? It doesn't take a lot of white to make that really light. Still, I'm not wowed by it. However, I'm going to put more on the palette. What wowed me is adding this nickel azo yellow, which on its own isn't, it's okay. I like the Indian yellow a lot better if I'm just using yellow. Whatever, these are just my personal preferences. But check this out. So I got the Ter-Bear, I got the nickel azo yellow, and I got some white. And I just think that's a spectacular, interesting color. It's yellow-green, but it's not a bright sort of candy yellow-green. It's not a sweet yellow-green. It's kind of a more interesting olivey yellow-green. And here, if I mix it with more white, look what I get. The nice thing about this Ter-Bear is that it's not very bright, and so I can dull down that yellow-green just by adding more of the Ter-Bear. So this looks like nothing at all. This looks like just a gray. Not all that interesting, although here, just introducing the yellow and a little more white, to me that gets really much more interesting.